Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are still in chapter 7. In this video, we will discuss input and output designs. You should answer these questions before starting the design process. Your answers will affect your output design strategies. Some of the information probably was gathered during the system analysis phase. To complete your understanding, you should meet with users to find out exactly what kind of output is needed. Although many organizations strive to reduce the flow of paper and printed reports, in certain situations, printed outputs are still needed. For example, they print the output and bring it to discuss during meeting. Printed output also is used in turnaround documents, which are output documents that are later entered back into the same or another information system. An example of turnaround document is the electricity bill issued by TNB. When you return the required portion of the bill with your check, the bill is scanned into the company's account receivable system to record the payment accurately. Overview of report designs. Although majority of reports are designed graphically, some systems still produce one or more character-based report that use a character set with fixed spacing. Printing character-based report on high-speed impact is a fast, inexpensive method for producing large-scale reports such as payroll or inventory report. To be useful, a report must include the information that a user needs. From a user's point of view, a report with too little information is no value. Too much information, however, can make a report confusing and difficult to understand. When designing reports, it is important to ensure the report design matches to the user's specific information needs. Basically, there are three types of reports: detailed report, exception report, and summary report. A detailed report produces one or more lines output for each record process. Each line of output printed is called a detailed line. This example shows a detailed report of employee hours for a chain of retail stores. An exception report displays only those records that meet a specific condition or conditions. Exception reports are useful when the user wants information only on records that might require action but does not need to know the details. This figure is an example of section report that shows information only for employees who work overtime. Summary reports often used by individuals at higher level or upper level managers in the organization. These persons use summary reports because they often want to see total figures and do not need supporting details. For example, this figure is used by a personnel manager who just want to know the total regular and overtime hours worked by employees in each store but might not be interested in the number of hours worked by each employee. Printed reports are an important way of delivering information to users, so recipients should approve all report designs in advance. The best approach is to submit each design for approval as you complete it, rather than waiting until you finish all report designs. When designing a report, you should prepare a sample report called a mock-up or prototype for user to review. After a report design is approved, you should document the design by creating a report analysis form, which contains information about the layout, fields, frequency, distribution, data security consideration, and other issues. Printed report must be attractive, professional, and easy to read. To produce a well-designed report, the analyst must consider design features such as report header and footers. The report header appears at the beginning of the report, while the report footer appears at the end of the report. Normally, a report header contains the report title, date, and other necessary information, while a report footer can include grand totals for numeric fields and other end-of-report information. Every page also should include a page header, which appears at the top of the page, and a page footer, which appears at the bottom of the page. The report title and the page number can be displayed either in a page header or page footer. To make your report readable and organized, you should consider to apply column heading alignment and column spacing in the report. Field order should be displayed and grouped in a logical order. With detail lines is meaningful to arrange detail lines in group based on a control field. For example, using the department number as a control field, individual employees can be grouped by department. You can bring a group header above the first detailed lines and group footer after the last detailed lines in a group. Look and feel are important to users, so reports should be uniform and consistent. When a system produces multiple reports, each report should share common design elements. Output control and security. Output must be accurate, complete, current, and secure. Companies use various output control methods to maintain output integrity and security. Output security protects privacy rights and shields the organization's proprietary data from theft or unauthorized access. The IT department is responsible for output control and security measures. To ensure output security, you must perform several important tasks. Limit the number of printed copies and use a tracking procedure to account for each copy. All sensitive reports should be stored in secure areas. All pages of confidential reports should be labeled appropriately. System analysts must be concerned with security issues as they design, implement, and support information systems. Security should be designed into system by using password, shielding sensitive data, and controlling user access. Enterprise-wide data access creates a whole new set of security and control issues. Many firms have responded to those concerned by installing diskless workstation. A diskless workstation is a network terminal that supports a full-feature user interface but limits the printing or copying of data, except to certain network resources that can be monitored and controlled. You can use a port protector to control access to and from workstation interfaces, especially when using removable media devices such as USB, Wi-Fi, and etc. Although business information systems still provide most output as screen displays and printed matter, technology is having an enormous impact on how people communicate and obtain information. This trend is especially important to firms that use information technology to lower their costs, improve employee productivity, and communicate effectively with their customers. In the system design phase, you will create the actual forms, reports, documents, and other types of output. During this process, you must consider the format and how it will be delivered, stored, and retrieved. Most companies use the internet to deliver information to customers and reach new customers and markets around the world. So, web designers must provide user-friendly screen interfaces that display output and accept input from customers. Email is an essential means of internal and external business communication. For example, companies send new product information to customers via email. Besides that, you also can consider to deliver the output using blog and instant messaging. Blogs are useful for posting news, reviewing current events, and promoting products. Instant messaging such as WhatsApp, Line, etc. is another way for individuals and companies to communicate effectively over the internet. Messages and data can be transmitted to a wide array of mobile devices including PDA, handheld computers, smartphones, and etc. Sounds, images, and video clips can be captured, stored in digital format, and transmitted as output to users. For example, the audio or video in digital format can be attached to an email message and sent it to the relevant users. Podcast is a specially formatted digital audio file that can be downloaded by internet users from a variety of content providers. Many firms use podcasts as sales and marketing tools and to communicate with their own employees. An automated faxmile or faxback systems allows a user or customer to request a fax using email via the company website or by telephone. The response is transmitted in a matter of seconds back to the user's fax machine. Another opportunity are computer output microfilm and digital media such as a magnetic tape, CDs, and DVDs. Computer output microfilm is often used by large firms to scan and store images of original documents to provide high-quality record management and archiving. Com systems are especially important for legal reasons or where it is necessary to display a signature, date stamp, or other visual features of a document. An incredibly diverse marketplace requires many forms of specialized output and devices such as retail point of sales terminals that handle computer-based credit card transactions, print receipt and update inventory records, automated teller machine or ATM that can process bank transaction and print deposit and withdrawal slips, special purpose printers that can produce employee ID cards, and plotters that can produce high quality images such as maps. Output from one system often becomes input into another system. Although digital technology has opened new horizons in business communications, printed output still is a common type of output and specific consideration apply to it. No matter how data enters an information system, the quality of output is only as good as the quality of the input. The term of garbage in, garbage out is familiar to IT professionals who know that the best time to avoid problems is when the data is entered. The objective of input design is to ensure the quality, accuracy, timeliness of input data. Six main objectives of input designs. First, select a suitable input and data entry methods. Second, reduce input volume. Third, design attractive data entry screens. Fourth, use validation checks to reduce input errors. Fifth, design required source documents and forms. And sixth, develop effective input controls. A source document collects input data, triggers or authorizes an input action, and provides a record of the original transaction. During the input design stage, you develop source documents that are easy to complete and use for data entry. Source documents generally are paper-based but also can be provided online. Either way, the design considerations are the same. Good form layout makes the form easy to complete and provides enough space for users to enter the data. The heading zones usually contains the company name or logo and the title and number of the form. The control zone contains codes, identification information, numbers, and dates that are used for storing completed forms. The instruction zone contains instructions for completing the form. The main part of the form, called the body zone, usually takes up at least half of the space of the form and contains captions and areas for entering variable data. If totals are included on the form, they appear in the total zone. Finally, the authorization zone contains any required signatures. Information should flow on a form from left to right and top to bottom to match the way users read document naturally. A major challenge of web-based form design is that most people read and interact differently with on-screen information compared to paper forms. Dr. Jacobson's believed that users scan a page picking out individual words and sentences. As a result, web designers must use scannable text to capture and hold a user's attention. During input design, you determine how data will be captured and entered into the system. Data capture uses an automated or manually operated device to identify source data and convert it into computer-readable form. Data entry is the process of manually entering data into the information system. Most effective method of online data entry is form filling. The following guidelines will help you design data entry screens that are easy to learn and use. First, restrict user access to screen locations where data is entered. Second, provide a descriptive caption for every field and show the user where to enter the data and the required or maximum field size. Third, display a sample format if a user must enter values in a field in a specific format. Require an ending keystroke for every field. Do not require users to type leading zeros for numeric fields. Do not require users to type trailing zeros for numbers that include decimals. Display default values so operators can press the enter key to accept the suggested value. Use a default value when a field value will be constant for successive record or throughout the data entry session. Display a list of acceptable values for fields and provide meaningful error messages. Next, provide a way to leave the data entry screen at any time without entering the current record. Provide users with an opportunity to confirm the accuracy of input data before entering it. Provide a means for users to move among fields on the form. Design the scheme form layout to match the layout of the source document. Allow users to add, change, delete and view records. And provide a method to allow users to search for specific information. Reducing the number of input errors improves data quality. One way to reduce input errors is to eliminate unnecessary data entry. The best defense against incorrect data is to identify and correct errors before they enter the system by using data validation rules. A data validation check improves input quality by testing the data and rejecting any entry that fails to meet specified conditions. You can use the following data validation rules to reduce input errors during keying the input. First, a sequence check is used when the data must be in some predetermined sequence. For example, the user must enter transactions chronologically, then a transaction with an out of the sequence date indicates an error. Second, an existence check is used for mandatory data items. For example, if an employee record requires a social security number, an existence check would not allow the user to save the record until he or she enters a suitable value in the social security number fields. Third, a data type check tests to ensure that a data item fits the required data types. For example, a numeric field must have only numbers or numeric symbols. Fourth, a range check tests data items to verify that they fall between a specific minimum and maximum value. For example, the value of CGPA must fall within 0.00 to 4.00. Fifth, a reasonableness check identifies values that are questionable but not necessarily wrong. For example, a daily hours work value of 24 passes a 0 to 24 range check. However, the value seems unusual and the system should verify it using a reasonableness check. Sixth, a validity check is used for data items that must have certain values. For example, if an inventory system has 20 valid item classes, then any input item that does not match one of the valid classes will fail the check. Seventh, a combination check is performed on two or more fields to ensure that they are consistent or reasonable when considered together. For example, if an order input for 30 units of a particular item has an input discount rate applicable only for purchases of 100 or more items, then the combination is invalid. Either the input order quantity or the input discount rate is incorrect. Eighth, batch control. Batch control are totals used to verify batch input. Batch control might check data items such as record counts and numeric field totals. For example, before entering a batch of orders, a user might calculate the total number of orders and the sum of all the order quantities. When the batch of order is entered, the order system also calculates the same two totals. If the system totals do not match the input totals, then the data entry errors has occurred. Input technology has changed dramatically in recent years. Input devices can be very traditional such as key-in data using keyboard or mouse or based on the latest technologies such as receive date from body motion detection. Input methods should be cost-efficient, timely, and as simple as possible. System analysts study transaction and business operation to determine how and when data should enter the system. Usually, the first decision is whether to use batch or online input methods. Using batch input, data entry usually is performed on specified time schedule such as daily, weekly, monthly or longer. For example, a payroll department collects time cards at the end of the week and enters the data as a batch. The online input methods offer major advantages, including the immediate validation and availability of data. A popular online input method is source data automation, which combines online data entry and automated data capture using input devices such as RFID tags or magnetic data strips. Although online input offers many advantages, it does have some disadvantages. For example, unless source data automation is used, manual data entry is lower and more expensive than batch input because it is performed at the time the transaction occurs and often done when computer demand is at its highest. The decision to use batch or online input depends on business requirement. For example, hotel reservations must be entered and processed immediately, but hotels can enter their monthly performance figures in a batch. To reduce input volume, you must reduce the number of data items required for each transaction. The following guidelines will help reduce input volume. First, input necessary data only. Second, do not input data that the user can retrieve from system files or calculate from other data. Third, do not input constant data. Fourth, use codes. Input control includes the necessary measure to ensure that input data is correct. Every piece of information should be traceable back to the input data that produced it. That means that you must provide an audit trail that records the source of each data item and when it enters the system. A company also must have procedures for handling source documents to ensure that data is not lost before it enters the system. Data security policies and procedures data from loss or damage is vital goal in every organization. If the safeguards are not 100% effective, data recovery utilities should be able to restore lost or damaged data. The company also should have a records retention policy that meets all legal requirements and business needs. Data security also involves protecting data from unauthorized access. System sign-on procedures should prevent unauthorized individuals from entering the system, and users should change their password regularly. We can also implement encryption process to protect sensitive data. That's all and thank you.